Let's dive into chapter 408, fully narrated. Are you ready? Are you ready? Then let's go. Right after the intro. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Chapter 408 has been released and we're bringing the full narration to you. But before we begin, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's get into the video. In chapter 407, we saw that Borkson was kidnapped by Morena, who wants to play a negotiation game with her. After a lengthy explanation of how the game works, chapter 408 brings us the game itself. Title, Negotiation Part 2. Morena says, "It's your turn. Choose a card." Pages 2 and 3. The negotiation game begins. Borkson looks at the cards and points to one. Morena then says, "The purpose card, huh? Why did you choose that?" Borkson replies, "Huh? Is casual conversation allowed? In that case, I'll talk about various things too, but without punishment, right?" Morena says, "Of course. Let's take this chance to get to know each other better." Hey, are there other members too? Around 50 people in total. Morena smiles and says, "Hey, nice try. They will never talk. For your information, there are others, but no more questions. If you want to ask, use a card." Borkson says, "Of course. I chose the purpose card to use it as the basis for my decisions. Well, then I won't answer any of your questions either." Oh, that's a little sad. All right, if you answer one of my questions, you can ask me one in return. Thank you. Borkson thinks. The number of allies is fewer than 50. She reacted quickly without stiffening her expression, so the number isn't too close. Maybe it's around half. Page 4. Morena purposes destruction of Gun and says, "My purpose is the destruction of the kingdom of Kakin. Once that is achieved, I plan to move on to the destruction of humanity. For that, I need your power." Borkson, shocked by Morena's words, says, "Huh?" Morena mockingly replies, "Huh? You didn't explain anything properly. If 100 was full understanding, I'd say we're at around 3 now." Oh, I see you're quite curious. Should I start by talking about my origin then? Are you familiar with Nisan Mono? Borkson replies, "Yes, you mean royalty without the right to inherit the throne, like you." Morena says, "The real Morena Prudor was like that, but I'm not even royalty. The real Morena is in my grave." Huh? Then, who exactly are you? Carnival and blasphemy, do these clues help you understand? Festival orphans, I understand. Page 5. Morena explains the carnival and its cruel traditions. Carnival, the royal festival of Kakin, held every few years, takes place in a random village. The royal entourage visits in disguise to hold a banquet. All chosen villagers are then immediately divided into 2 groups, those who serve and the others. Blasphemy, any act of disrespect toward the royal family, is strictly prohibited, with offenders sentenced to death. In the past, even direct speech or eye contact with royalty was a crime punishable by execution. Even today, acts like contraception, abortion, or genetic testing related to the royal family are considered rebellion and result in immediate execution. Morena says, "My mother, who hosted the royal entourage for several days without rest, apparently died when I was 2 years old, without even realizing she was pregnant with me or that she had given birth. We, festival orphans, were born, had our faces immediately cut, and were sent to a facility. This place was a hideout for a human trafficking organization run by the EI group, also connected to the underground hospital that treated our mothers. There, we were scientifically classified as Nisan Mono, or meat, and I was classified as meat. For about 20 years I was meat, enduring various hardships. Recently, I managed to become the leader of the II group." Morena, "To achieve my goal, I need allies. Each of them possesses a special ability. Among them, the most important role, that would be you. That's why I invited you here and am now recruiting you." Borkson asks, "Why me?" Morena responds, "I can't answer that with this card. That's all." Page 7. Now, please bring a card closer to me and turn it over. The Joker. Both yes and no have no consequences for me. In that sense, it's a card with almost no impact. Morena says, then the Joker goes to the grave. Now please choose the next card. Borkson chooses the Power card. I'm pleased. You've asked about me with 2 consecutive cards. I'll do my best to explain clearly. Page 8, Morena explains, my ability is to grant powers to those who share the same goal as me and expand that circle. I am the mother, and the children are limited to 22. When children accumulate a certain amount of points, they can become parents and create their own children. That's my ability. Hey, it's kind of a pyramid scheme, isn't it? Borkson thinks, clever. No matter whether I chose purpose or ability first, I'd end up wanting to know the other. Honestly, no. I don't really care about missions, responsibilities, or national defense once Kakin is gone. Is the goal not the fall of Kakin? Borkson says, when I was old enough to understand things, I was already in a military academy, taught that my mission was to protect the integrity of the nation. But honestly, I used to think, if no war breaks out until I die, that's good enough. I was fortunate enough to get into the Advanced Officers Academy. Listening to popular music from enemy nations was considered dangerous, but in high school, we had lessons about the outside world as part of the curriculum, even though the information was months outdated. A country with the lowest water management rate in the world, yet somehow leading in partial production of stratospheric artificial objects and information processing capacity. I had planned to live a modest life in limited roles, like being an instructor at a frontier military school or a deputy director in the Ministry of Defense, positions such as 4th Secretary or lower. And that's why all of this is extremely unsettling. With Beyond's New Continent declaration, the situation drastically worsened. And now, on top of that, Nen abilities and the extinction of humanity. Borkson continues, you mentioned that Nen abilities are closely tied to a person's personality, right? So how do you know my undeveloped ability is important when you barely know anything about me? Are you hiding your true intentions behind phrases like, everyone is special, just to convince whoever negotiates with you that I am special? Could this be just a negotiation tactic? Morena responds, you are a specialist. Nen abilities are broadly divided into 6 categories. You belong to the very rare category of specialist. I have an ally who is an enhancer. He refined his sense of smell and gained the ability to detect abilities. His power has now reached a level where he can identify even the faintest aura of someone whose Nen has yet to awaken. Morena continues, and he's still searching for unawakened specialists on this ship. I conducted my own research, so there's room for error, but I estimate that specialists make up about 1 in every 3,000 people. You understand what that means, don't you? It's true that specialists are relatively rare, but on this ship, it wouldn't be surprising to find another 50 or 60 with similar potential. Ideally, we'd find someone among them who shares our greater goal. At that point, it wouldn't matter whether it's you or not. In fact, he has already located several awakened specialists. One of them stood out. Apparently, they're a floor master at Sky Arena, a well-known figure in the martial arts world. The reason I said the longer this negotiation drags on, the greater the risk for you, is because of this. That's all I have to say about abilities for now. Borkson, curious, asks, I'd like to hear more details about the specialist category. Specifically, I want to know what kind of ability you'd want me to develop if I were to join you. Morena responds, that's a question related to the yes and no cards. First, let me explain the specialist category. Simply put, specialists are incredibly versatile. Other categories, like transmuters, may struggle to learn abilities from other categories, such as manipulators, due to practical limitations. But specialists don't have those restrictions. If I had to point out a downside, it would be that sometimes they don't even realize their true potential and end up mastering another category, only to regret it later. If you know from the beginning that you're a specialist, you can attempt high difficulty techniques requiring mastery of multiple categories at an advanced level, or even abilities that belong to no category at all, unique, specialized powers. Oh, by the way, I'm also a specialist ability user. My ability, which transforms the awakening and enhancement of techniques into a point-based system for allies, is a highly advanced hybrid technique, essentially a blend of all 5 other categories. Naturally, I have specific requests for your ability, but I can't share them now because of the card. If you choose the Yes card, I'll reveal what ability I'd like you to develop. This has more to do with the role you'd play if you were to join the team. Morena asks, "Understood?" Borkson quickly replies, "Understood." No matter which card I pick out of the remaining 4, the number of options doesn't change. It seems that for any question that isn't question A, she still answers to some extent, even after the card is discarded. It's always useful to gather more information about the opponent, but the time risk she mentioned is real too. The decision to prolong the game or not will come when the options are more limited. Page 5. Morena then says, "Oh, what a shame. Have you already decided not to join us after the second card?" Borkson says, "Your allies also seem disappointed. This confirms that at the very least they haven't witnessed cheating before. But optimism isn't an option. The real question is whether she has played this negotiation game with anyone who refused to join her. If I'm the first, these reactions make sense. Well, it can't be helped. I'll do my best until the end. There's definitely a difference between no and X. Don't you want to know the difference?" Borkson says, "Yes, I'll follow your lead. I'll choose the no card." All right. If the no card remains, I'll explain what happens next. King, page 16. Morena continues. "The most important thing is the difference between the 2 cards, as I mentioned. No means you will not become our ally, while X means the game itself becomes invalid. No is considered a firm declaration of your intention, a final rejection, a complete severance from us." Borkson says, "So far, this is as expected. In the end, yes and no seem like the same thing. If it's a choice between yes and no, then yes, Steph is the only option. A kind of threatening moment designed to make you feel like there's no alternative." Morena says, "Essentially, you and those around you will be seen as not part of our group. To us, you'll just be part of the crowd. Mere points to be used to achieve our goal and enhance our abilities. I won't try to recruit you again. However, now that you've learned our secrets, we can't simply let you leave without consequences." Borkson then says, "She's saying this clearly, isn't she? In that case, it seems like the X option was never truly within our reach from the start." The third trap, the game itself, is a trap to force me to say yes. Page 17. Morena says, "If it were the X card, the situation where you've learned our secrets would be the same, but we would consider the fact that you learned the secret and everything else as null and void. This doesn't mean erasing your memory, but rather that we'd trust you and consider everything that happened here as if it never occurred. We'd avoid any future contact with you as much as possible. I won't distort the everything as if it never occurred, and if we meet again, I won't say something like, 'Nice to meet you, let's play a game.' I'll also do everything possible to avoid involving the people around you. Specifically, we'd cross-reference the information we obtained with the people you care about, share it with our group, and do our utmost to avoid them. Given the nature of our goal, the most accurate expression would be delay them as much as possible, however." Borkson then says, "To save time, I'll ask directly. It seems there's no benefit to you in the X card, and the risks are high. Even if you say, 'Trust me,' I can't trust you. Can you explain the advantages for your side in a way I can understand?" Morena says, "I'm glad you asked. I'll explain now, but it'll take a bit more time. The advantage for our side is that the risk is high." Borkson, I see, a vow and a restriction, high risk, high reward. In Nen abilities, this is a very important component. If the negotiation fails after a serious confrontation, patience, even if it involves great risks, I will accept it. Preparing myself with this determination and facing the game, my ability will become stronger, allowing me to better support my allies. The same applies to those who join our team. By overcoming the risk that if the last remaining card is no, he dies, the bond and effectiveness grow even more. You're not shaken much. That's impressive. I think things will get very real when only 2 cards remain, don't you think? Now, proceed. Page 19, Borkson then says, with this, the remaining cards are no death and are survival. Then both are interrupted by an announcement aboard the Black Whale ship. The loudspeaker says, martial law declared. Martial law declared. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. End of the chapter. And that was Hunter x Hunter chapter 408. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching the video. See you next time, and take care.